Red Bull have been competing at the top of Formula One for more than a decade now. They've become one of the top three teams fighting for championships alongside Mercedes and Ferrari. This year, they've returned to the top of the standings after just beating Mercedes to the trophy last year. And after the regulation changes, they seem to have only gotten stronger. But where did Red Bull Racing actually come from? How did an energy drink company create Formula One's strongest team? Stay tuned as we dive into how Red Bull have managed to build one of the most unstoppable F1 teams in history. Early days. Most teams coming into Formula One don't start from scratch, unless they build their own cars like Ferrari or Mercedes. The best option is normally to buy out an existing team, and since F1 is a difficult business, it's not rare for them to be up for sale. Before entering the sport as their own team, Red Bull was a sponsor of the Sauber team. They started their partnership way back in 1995. Then, in 1999, it was rumored that Red Bull wanted to take over Sauber and try to compete themselves. During this time, they also set up the Red Bull Young Driver Development Program, which has produced talents like Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Pierre Gasly. Red Bull were starting to pick up some great drivers, but they needed somewhere to put them. Unfortunately for Red Bull, Peter Sauber wasn't putting his team up for sale. On top of that, Peter Sauber clashed with Red Bull owner Dietrich Mateschitz, who was a longtime motorsport enthusiast and had his own vision. Eventually, the two went their separate ways when Red Bull bought out the Jaguar Racing team. Mateschitz said, "There are things which, alongside their strategic fit and logicality, also give me personally a great deal of pleasure. Our own Red Bull team in Formula One is definitely one of those." Red Bull put a symbolic $1 down but agreed to invest $400 million over the next 3 years. And with that, Red Bull Racing was born. A baby-faced 32-year-old Christian Horner was brought in as team principal, while David Coulthard and Christian Klein would be their first drivers. A year later, Red Bull also bought Minardi to create Toro Rosso and establish a two-level academy that has been the key to their success. But Red Bull's senior team took some time to get going. Coulthard brought their first podium in 2006, but it was the following year when they installed Renault engines that they really started to make an impression. Getting wings. It takes a lot of people to run a Formula One team. After Christian Horner took the reins of Red Bull in its first few years, he said that they had a reputation as a party team. That's why employing designer Adrian Newey was so important. He's the most successful Formula One car designer of all time. As Horner tells the story, "I think what Adrian saw was, why had David Coulthard come, and what had he found? I think he felt slightly stifled at McLaren, and this team was full of energy and ambition." Together with special drivers and a strong engineering team around Newey, Red Bull were finally able for some decent results, and this strategy of stacking the team with the best staff has continued until today. Since Honda announced that they would stop supplying Red Bull with engines in 2020, the team have been taking over the manufacturing operation that Honda set up. A big part of staying ahead involved poaching some staff from their rivals. Red Bull hired around 50 former Mercedes engine employees to help them establish Red Bull powertrains in 2021. That included the Mercedes engineering head, Ben Hodgkinson. At the time, Horner said, "We're assembling an exceptionally talented group of people together, and we're only at the beginning of that journey." You know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. Or better yet, take their team away. It seems to be working too. Mercedes have fallen to third place in the Constructors' Championship, while Red Bull are still at the top of the table. Young talent. Formula One is all about investment, and back in 1999, before Red Bull had bought Jaguar, Red Bull made one of their best investments when they set up a young driver program, run by Helmut Marko. By 2009, it started to bear fruit. A 21-year-old Sebastian Vettel hit the sport by storm by winning the 2008 Italian Grand Prix with Toro Rosso. When he was confirmed at Red Bull for the following year, Christian Horner said, "Having only turned 21 at the last race, and with only 17 Grand Prix starts to his name, he's still on a learning curve, but it's clear that he has plenty of ability and speed." And 5 years later, Vettel had won 4 world championships for the team. And without the junior team program, we might have never heard of Sebastian Vettel. After being sponsored in junior categories like Formula 3 and Formula 2, Red Bull drivers are given a shot in Formula 1 through Toro Rosso to really test them. The team is now rebranded as AlphaTauri, but it still serves the same function. While most teams have to take big risks and long contracts to test out drivers, Red Bull have created a more competitive system for themselves. There are a handful of talented drivers eagerly awaiting their shot in F1, which means that drivers at Red Bull and AlphaTauri have to stay at the top of their game. When Pierre Gasly was promoted to Red Bull in 2019, after 12 races and no podiums, he was downgraded back to the junior team. Since then, he's become a Grand Prix winner and in total has scored 3 podiums to try and prove that he's worth another shot. But the great drivers usually only need one chance. Verstappen era. A young Verstappen once followed the same path and cut his teeth at Toro Rosso first before debuting with Red Bull and incredibly winning his first race at the Spanish Grand Prix. Since then, the team hasn't doubted Verstappen and last year paid off with a world championship. He elbowed Daniel Ricciardo out of the team and has been the clear #1 driver ever since. After lagging behind Mercedes for years, Red Bull finally gave Verstappen a championship-winning car last season, and he got every ounce of performance out of it. He battled Lewis Hamilton the entire year to dramatically clinch the title in the final lap of the final race. For his efforts, he was rewarded with a juicy new contract worth $55 million a year. It highlighted Red Bull's single-driver approach that has been so effective for them. Before Verstappen, it was Sebastian Vettel who they gambled on. There were a number of instances where Vettel was clearly given advantage over his teammate Mark Webber, like when he received an updated front wing at the 2010 British Grand Prix. Webber was furious that he didn't get the upgrade too. At the time, he said, "I would never have signed a contract for next year if I believed that was the way going forward. I was disappointed. We'll see how it goes in the future." Unfortunately for him, that was the closest Webber ever got to a championship, and Vettel went on to win 4 in a row. Now with Verstappen as the defending world champion and on track to win another one, his teammate Sergio Perez could face the same problems that Webber did, breaking the bank. But all of this takes some serious cash, right? The best drivers, a junior team, the best designer, and the best engine? In 2019 alone, the team spent $445 million. So how did they afford it all? At the center of it, of course, is the Red Bull energy drink. That's how the company has become such a big brand, that it has professional football teams, a NASCAR team, an ice hockey team, and everything in between. And they've built this empire through brilliant marketing. The brand is now synonymous with extreme sports and risk-taking. They dedicate around 30% of their revenue each year to marketing, which is one of the biggest in the industry. Formula One is a big part of that marketing. As the pinnacle of motorsport, if you put your car at the front of the grid, that's a lot of attention. With Red Bull's branding front and center on all of their cars and uniforms, good results spread their name far and wide in the media. Plus, as the team becomes more successful, it attracts bigger sponsorships. Red Bull's latest partnership with Oracle is worth $500 million over 5 years, and with the new budget cap that restricts performance-related spending to $140 million, they're trying their hardest to keep costs down. The cost caps are an attempt to level the playing field more, and it's shuffled the teams around. Red Bull are now head-to-head with Ferrari as their closest rivals instead of Mercedes, and have been a step ahead almost every weekend. The car's performance combined with Verstappen's consistency makes them very tough to beat. And the way things are going, they might get bored of not having enough competition. We could be at the beginning of another Red Bull era of domination. Do you think that Red Bull will win another championship this year? Or is there anything that could slow them down? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe for more.